everybody, thanks for joining me. My name is Francisca. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Fool from the Gilded Tarot and letting you guys know what that symbolizes to me when I see it in a reading, and also kind of wanted to talk about the energy of the Fool and what crystals I think hold the same energy of the Fool, or the characteristics that the Fool's energy holds when I see those crystals. So I hadn't seen many people talk about which crystals and chakras go with each of the tarots, but it's something that I think about, and so I think I wanted to share that with you guys today. So the Fool is the 0 in my deck. In some decks it's 22. But usually the Fool is like the beginning of the tarot journey. The Fool is one of the major arcana cards, which are usually indicative of spiritual life lessons. And the Fool, when I see this card in somebody's reading, makes me think of new beginnings, new adventures, unexplored potential, inner child, playfulness. It also makes me think of like a new beginning in the spiritual journey, also like maybe new career path, or maybe an unexplored path. And it's usually something that's pretty big, because whenever you get a major arcana, these are like spiritual lessons. These are like life events that may be happening in somebody's experience at that moment in time. And so it's definitely like new adventures and things like this. What I think of when I see this card on a personal level is I think of my first tarot deck, which is actually this deck that I'm holding right now. The Gilded Tarot was one that stood out to me when I first picked up tarot cards years back. And this is actually the only deck that survived out of, having it over a period of years, and with 3 dogs. Not at one time though, but I think that almost all of these cards are intact except for the 8 of Swords, which does have some teeth marks in it from one of the dogs that got a hold of it. But this is my favorite deck, not just because it survived, but because of the colorful detail, and there's so much intricate little things going on in this card. And I remember when I got my first deck, I saw this was the first card that I picked up out of the deck, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. It was so colorful, and I love the way that this card was where he's balancing like all of these different elements. He's got these zodiac signs up there that he's balancing in his hands just effortlessly. He's got the baton that he's twirling, and that hoop that he's also managing at the same time with his feet, and it's just so effortless, and he's just like suspended in air. In the original Rider-Waite tarot cards, you see a man with his like knapsack on his stick, and he's got a little dog there, and he's like gonna go off the cliff, and he doesn't even realize it. But in this card, there's no mountain, there's no cliff. He's just up in the air, and it's just really suspended, and he's playful, and he's imaginative. And these are the things that I think about when I see this card in somebody's reading. And so it's definitely like the beginning of something. Also, I see that 0, and that 0 is the alpha and the omega, the beginning and ending, definitely ending a cycle. And as I'm recording this today is a super moon, and full moons are a time of definitely letting go of what doesn't serve you, putting that aside. And so I think that this is a great pairing for this reading, for me, like reading this, the energy of this card today. So yeah, definitely when I see this card, I think of those things. I also think of the third eye chakra. The reason that I think of that chakra is because our third eye helps us to see and perceive things as they really are. If our third eye chakra is in a balanced energy place, then we're able to see and perceive things and use our intuition in a way that is really beneficial to us. We're able to get outside of our logical and emotional thinking, and be able to perceive things in a way that we're able to see like a full view, but also be able to hone in on those detailed things that we may be missing out on when we're just looking from our emotions, or when we're just looking from our logical mind. And so maybe connecting from spirit and the body and what's going on internally, and also being able to view that in a way that makes sense. So with the third eye chakra, the stones that I think about are clear quartz. It's a really great stone for third eye chakra activation to help you have clear vision. I also think about Shiva eye, which is another stone that I really like to use for perception, and also for intuition, and to help strengthen that intuitive muscle. The other stone that I think about is peacock ore. And so peacock ore is a really great stone that I think really helps to embody the energy of the Fool, because the peacock ore is all about transformation. And this is actually the stone that I chose for this year. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen that post that I made at the beginning of the year talking about the peacock ore. Peacock ore really helps to activate and align all of your chakras. It's multicolored stone. It's beautiful. It's iridescent. It's got, you know, your peacock colors in here. It's got the teal, the purple, the greens, and it also has the gold in there too. So really great stone for transformation and aligning all of the chakras. And I think that that's the energy that you kind of need when you see this card in your reading. It's also depending on like what other cards are around this card, but anytime somebody gets this card, it's usually a good omen. It's usually very positive. And then I also, again, like I said before, it makes me think of new beginnings, a new way of thinking. When I first got a tarot deck, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea why I was drawn to this deck. I had no idea what my life was going to look like in a few years. I just knew I was stuck. And I'm getting emotional just thinking about it now, because I was so stuck and it was such a different place, you know, a few years back. And I remember my dog, Isabel, Tiger Lily, was like laying at my feet while I was like, you know, laying out all these cards and saying, you know, how do I get unstuck? And even though I didn't pull this card in my reading, it was the beginning of my journey into myself, into tarot, and into a more introspective place. So when I see this card in somebody's reading, I get reminded of that time when I first saw this card for myself. And like I said, even though it wasn't in that reading, it was something that really helped me solidify and just, you know, have the courage to start this new journey, and just to journal about tarot, and like, you know, ask people if I could do readings for them, and, you know, figure it out that way. And so it's definitely a card of courage, and taking your blind courage, and taking, you know, maybe you're not looking before you leap, but it's also a card of faith, you know, having the faith that even though you have no idea what you're doing, it's a new path, and it's unexplored, and it's an unknown path, that you do have all the resources that you can effortlessly manifest certain things and materialize certain things that you have had practice before in different ways, that have built these stepping stones so that you can go on to that new adventure. But I'd love to hear from you guys, and I'd love to hear what you see when you get a Fool in your reading, and what that makes you think of. Till next time, see you guys. Bye.